Hey guys, it's Cody. Welcome back to my channel. You're on the channel Cody Tarot. I am Cody, I already said that, your tarot reader. Anyway, today is a very interesting read. I'm not quite sure I've done one like this. Maybe something along those lines in the past, like I have a video about what makes you attractive, but this is a little bit different. So I have my smoky quartz here for this, which is great to protect against gossip and gossiping and what people talk about you kind of like behind your back, at least negative gossip, you know? So today's reading is what people say about you. What are people saying about you? Kind of like the good, the bad, and the wonderful. I don't want to say the ugly, the wonderful. Let's say that. Yeah, so what do people say about you? What do, like, when people bring up your name, what are the things that come to their mind? Like when someone asks, what's so-and-so like? What are they gonna say? You know, what do people actually say? So we have our crystals here for you today. Oh yeah, welcome to all the new subscribers. I haven't welcomed subscribers in a while, and we have a whole bunch of new ones. I think I have like maybe 20 or 30 new subscribers since we've welcomed the subscribers back. So we'll use this intro time to welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing. It really means a lot to me. And I'm just glad you guys enjoy the channel and are becoming a part of this kind of community. So here we go with the crystals. So for the first group, we have Aragonite. For the second group, we have blue Kyanite. For the third group, we have rose quartz. For the fourth group, we have snakeskin agate. And for the fifth group, we have a yellow opal. So please take all the time you need to pick your crystals. You can pause the video here if you need to. With that said, we will be moving on with group number 1, the Aragonite. Hello, group 1. This is if you picked the Aragonite cluster. Okay, so let's get into your reading. So I pre-drew the cards for these readings. So for your first 2 cards, we have teacher and gossip. So the first thing I want to let you guys in on is that the first thing that people say about you, and this is definitely like something positive that people say about you, is that you are actually a really good teacher. Like if anyone's ever had the time to interact with you and had them had you been able to teach them something, they're always going to say that about you, that you actually can explain things very well. You are kind of like cogent in your logic. Is that the right phrase? Basically, you can convey ideas and get methods across on an individual level to each person so they can learn very effectively. One of the more negative things that people do say about you is that you kind of tend to be a gossip. People probably are not inclined to tell you secrets just because of the sense that you might tell other people. Yeah, so it's the light attribute right here is just recommending that it says awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust. You know, some people, I mean, there's kind of that whole mentality that if you tell me something, then I can kind of tell whoever I want and all that good stuff. But some people might just say that you're a little bit of a gossip or a little bit, not really a gossip. I'm just seeing that you kind of have a loose tongue. Maybe you, instead of honoring trust, you honor truth, and you're more inclined to speak up about your experiences or things you've learned. You're definitely someone who likes to explore, and you like to learn things, and you like to share what you learn. And sometimes I think that comes across with the gossip card and the teacher card combined, of sharing your knowledge sometimes with people who don't want to hear it, if that makes sense. But for the people who do want to hear it, the people who are open and receptive to that knowledge, they love that influx of information that you're constantly giving them, you know? They love learning about life through your eyes and through the way and the perspectives that you teach. So let's get into the next 2 cards. So next we have Groundhog Spirit and Fox Spirit. So something that people might think or say about you is that with Groundhog Spirit, time to let go, is that you might hold on to things too much in your life. They might think that you kind of are stuck in the past, or you kind of have the mentality that you can't really let it go. Like literally as the card says, time to let it go. you know, that you kind of hold on to things. You keep your treasures and the precious things in your life close to you well beyond the time that you're supposed to keep them close to you. Some people could consider you a little bit clingy, which is not really a bad thing, because the people who see that in a positive light, they see it as very, like, I guess the best word to use is like protective. Another good word to use is kind of like intimate. They see you as a very intimate person, that you can create intimacy really easily. So with Fox Spirit, think on your feet. Something that people say about you, and this is always positive, is that you're so adaptable and you're so creative and on the fly. Like, you can think of solutions on the fly. Like, you're really, really smart, just like a fox, very crafty like a fox. Think on your feet. I definitely, when I pulled this card, I got really positive vibes that you are kind of the type of person that is very good with thinking on your feet. You're the type of person that is very clever. You can kind of, just like a fox, you can kind of like sniff things out, and you're pretty good at like doing little hunting, going on little hunts, I guess you could put it. That's to find information, just like we have in the teacher and the gossip card. And then also sharing that information. But literally in how you like acquire knowledge, you're very fast, you think on your feet. You're pretty good in an argument, I would say. When someone is like maybe confronting you, you know how to either evade the argument to get out of there, or say something to like kind of temper down their emotions so they kind of don't get angry in the first place. You know how to evade tight situations. People kind of feel like they can never catch you, if that makes sense. Like, they can never kind of get their... You know, it's interesting because you're this person that, like, you definitely have this ability to hold on to people and hold on to things. But other people who try to hold on to you, you don't let them. You kind of evade them, and you kind of keep your freedom, basically. So we have an interesting thing where it's kind of like you're allowed to claim others, but other people won't be able to claim you. And that's something that, like, some people find kind of infuriating. Like, man, I just want to create some intimacy with them, but the ball's always in their court, you know, it's always up to them. And so, you know, that's just something they say about you. But this is definitely something that's an admired quality. They like that you're kind of elusive, that you do think on your feet, that you're quick, that you maybe have a quick wit. You know, that's something that's very admired about you. Right here we have, look at the bigger picture. So full moon in Sagittarius. So people, just with the Sagittarius card, people could see you as adventurous. That's something that's coming through. And then look at the bigger picture is just showing that, like, you're the type of person that is able to expand people's viewpoints and mindsets. So, you know, people might, when they're talking about you, like, to other people, they might say something along the lines of, oh, you know, so-and-so told me this the other day, and I didn't even think of that, but really it changed my worldview into thinking this way. You know, like, I see things a lot clearer now. That might come through a lot, that they see things a lot clearer. You know, I'm definitely seeing this arrow right here in the full moon card is like an inspiration, kind of like inspiration. Like if it's Cupid's arrow for love, but an arrow for inspiration. And I'm definitely seeing that you kind of do inspire these people around you, you know, to like bigger thought patterns, to think bigger. Look at the bigger picture is also about a sense of empathy for world events. You might be the type of person who is very focused on the well-being of others in the world around you. You know, look at the bigger picture just can represent looking at the bigger society as a whole. You know, maybe a lot of your information with teacher and gossip, a lot of the things you teach people about are kind of like world events or things happening in the world, things you read about that are happening in the world. Let's see what else we have for you. So we have your tarot cards. We have the Hierophant, the Seven of Wands, and the Two of Wands reversed. So let me see if you can see all that in yeah, so the Hierophant just reiterates the teacher thing, right? And that's interesting because it's like the teacher card, then this groundhog spirit and the Hierophant. I'm definitely seeing the symbolism within the cards themselves of kind of you sitting here, this is you kind of, and you're kind of, I see that like whatever knowledge you accumulate or find, you kind of hold on to, is like what we see here with the groundhog spirit, how he's holding this heart, right? All the knowledge you find, you hold on to, and you kind of keep it for like forever. I think you're the type of person that really doesn't forget things very easily. But also the way you appropriate knowledge and the way you get knowledge is very traditional. You might actually, it's interesting because as someone who is so focused on big ideas and looking at the bigger picture and so adaptable and thinking on your feet, the way you accumulate knowledge is very traditional, probably through some form of like very basic study. Some kind of like really simple method that you maybe learned in school or in an educational institution, but some way that you accumulate knowledge kind of the way that like other people accumulate knowledge, you know? So I can imagine you like poring over books or poring over like actual academic articles. You know, you're the type that kind of like looks for knowledge the way they were always taught to look for knowledge. So the way you accumulate this knowledge is going to be based on some system that you learned, probably growing up. And people, one thing that they say about you is that, you know all this, like, kind of like, if the information gets brought up that they talk about, people mention that you know this kind of like traditional type information, that you kind of know a lot, like this stairway up to this groundhog keep, they kind of see you as like enlightened is the best way to put it. They see you as kind of, really happy, I'm seeing. And also that you definitely like go through the proper procedures that are acceptable. People would never doubt your information that you're giving because you can definitely back it up with like where you found it. You can cite your sources. So that's definitely something that's coming through, is that people know that like when you find out something and you tell them something, they know it's legit. They know it's the truth because they know that your methods are backed by some kind of formal study. That's what I was trying to say. Now, one thing people might mention about you sometimes, some people might see this, I definitely see people who are maybe a little bit more social who would see this. Some people who are kind of like maybe a little bit more, they crave attention, I guess is the best way to put it. They would see you as kind of like isolated and kind of not responding to them. I definitely see them seeing you as like in your own bubble. And this is just for specific people who kind of, are social in a way that they're kind of needy. This goes back to this fox spirit and this groundhog spirit where you kind of cling on to people, but then like when people try to grab your attention or try to make you theirs, you know, they're like, pay the attention to me. You're just like, no, thank you. I'm doing my own thing. I'm a fox. I think on my feet. So that's definitely coming through here, is that you kind of have this attitude, and that's going back to that. But some people are going to see you as being like on a bubble. And for some of those people, within that group, they're going to see you as like spiritually enlightened because they can never get close to you. They can never get close to you and know you in the way that they want to. So they put you on this pedestal. So some people put you on a pedestal, surprisingly, for attributes that you might not even have. So you might encounter a little bit of like admiration from people who you're looking at and you're like, I don't even know you, or I don't even click with you, and they like admire you. Okay, lastly, we have the Two of Wands in reverse. And this just shows that kind of like your exploratory mindset. So yes, with knowledge and stuff, you're very like, you hunt for that information like we talked about, and you expand people to look at the bigger picture. But people also might see that you kind of don't let yourself explore other opportunities, that you kind of stick to yourself and your kind of own way of operating, maybe your own habits. You stick to your daily routine. You stick to the kind of things in life that like make you feel comfortable. You don't really stray too far from that. We get that, pick that up here again in the Hierophant with the traditional methods, kind of how you learn to do something or where you grew up or where you kind of come from. You kind of stick to that. You don't kind of venture out beyond that. You like to stick to home base for the most part. You feel comfortable there. You feel content there. You like kind of surrounding yourself with close acquaintances, you know, that in a way are, how do I put this? That are familiar to you, that kind of maybe remind you of childhood or remind you of where you're from at home. I can definitely see that sometimes this might make you feel trapped, or it actually makes other people think you feel trapped. That you give off the impression that other people might say like, you know, they don't get out much, or they don't, that's what I'm trying to say. They don't get out much, but really you're kind of comfortable where you are. So I hope you guys enjoyed that reading. if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, I really enjoyed reading for you guys. You seem like a very interesting person. I think most importantly is that you're this teacher, you know, that you really can enlighten others and get them to see the bigger picture. I think that's the strongest trait that comes through that people see in you. With that said, we're going to move on to group 2. Hello, group 2. This is if you picked the blue Kyanite piece. Okay, so let's get into your reading. I have the cards shuffled to the side of the screen, and I already like pre-drew them. So we're going to be going over those. Let me start the reading now. So, what do people say about you? So first of all, we have a goddess. Wow. People think that you are a goddess. I guess that's the best way to put it. So I'm picking up a strong feminine energy for this pile, but if you are a man, you are also very beautiful. I definitely sense that people say you're very seductive or sensual. Let me read what this actually says. It says, the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Yeah, I definitely see sensuality. I definitely see that, you know, people might see you as a spiritual being or someone that kind of is above them, or they kind of look up to, I guess is the best way to put it. You're definitely the type of person that could be very earthy, but at the same time, you could also be kind of like ethereal. I know those two are like contradict and stuff, and I said them both, but I definitely sensing some like dualness to your nature. Overall, I think you're going to be more kind of like ethereal kind of personality, but you may be earthy just because of this goddess energy as far as like, you know, I'm definitely getting like wood nymph vibes or like sea nymph or river nymph vibes, like, or kind of like a sprightly, not quite like a fairy, but more like a, kind of like a, I don't know how to explain it, just maybe mystical, but definitely people look up to you. That's one thing I'm seeing for sure, is that with this goddess card, people definitely look up to you. They come to you for advice, worship. It's almost like they come to you to pray. And people definitely notice that about you. They definitely say, oh, she's someone you can go to, you know, to like have like blessings bestowed upon you, basically. Maybe they don't say it exactly like that, but that's pretty much what you know they mean. You kind of make things happen for people. You can make miracles, basically. So companion just says loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness. Yeah, so I'm definitely picking up strong giving vibes. So, you know, with the loyalty, you're definitely loyal, tenacious, and unselfish is the one that's sticking out to me. And being a companion, being kind of like a friend, a true blue friend to people. People say like, you know what? They're a really good friend. This is the type of person that you want as a friend. Like, they're loyal. They've always been there for me. Anyone who's known you for a long time is gonna really attest to your loyalty and how like you kind of like maybe stand up for them or kind of stick up for them. Maybe not in a physical way, like you fight their battles for them, anything like that. But you stand, when it comes time to like deal with the issues, you stand up for them. You make things happen. And that kind of comes with this goddess energy. You're kind of like this greater spiritual being, or that's kind of how your friends see you, is this kind of like greater spiritual being that's kind of like in tune with their needs. And they're like, you know, they're just amazed by you and like how you can kind of accomplish, you know, everything or anything, kind of like, you know, you can work miracles basically. And you're just such a good friend to them. You're such a good companion. Okay, let's see what else you got. So we have elephant spirit, learn from the past, and flamingo spirit, embrace the in-between. So with elephant spirit, I definitely see people, like people who know you pretty well, would say that you definitely learn from your past. You're definitely the type of person who, they say an elephant never forgets, right? But the thing is like, you can remember something for a really long time, but do you actually learn from it? And that's where you come in. You do learn from it. You learn the lessons from your past and you transmute them into wisdom. And I definitely see that coming out with the goddess card, is that kind of like the more you learn from your past mistakes, the more you kind of like go over those situations that happened in your past and kind of go through them and process them and get through them, the more this goddess energy comes out, the more kind of ethereal you seem to people and the more kind of magical you seem and the more you can fulfill the desires of those around you. Embrace the in-between, flamingo spirit. This is kind of pretty straightforward. People say that you kind of, with this companion card where it says loyalty, tenacity, unselfishness. Sorry, that's my laundry in the background. I'm doing laundry right now. Loyalty, tenacity, and unselfishness, and embrace the in-between. This basically just means that, like, if you have multiple friends, I'm definitely sensing you might have a bigger friend group. You are able to be a companion to all. That's what this embracing the in-between means to me, paired with this companion card, is that you can embrace the in-between of different people. I mean, you can kind of maybe go between different people and, like, you know, like, fulfill everyone's needs pretty effortlessly with this sense of, like, community, I guess is the best way to put it. So you kind of know how to, so people definitely say that, like, you know, embracing the in-between, I'm definitely just seeing with this, and also with a flamingo right here, the nature of this flamingo, how flamingos are, like, pink and elegant and very pretty. I'm definitely seeing that people see you as very, like, elegant and kind of feminine, you know. And with this goddess energy, elephants are always remind me of these, like, majestic creatures. So definitely, like, people see you as, like, I want to say you're very beautiful. People are just going to say you're beautiful. I'll say it. I'll say it straight up. People think you're attractive. And people know that you can be a friend to all. So people are not going to say, I don't know how to phrase this or how they would phrase this, but they basically say that, like, you can be a friend to one person and another person, and even if they don't get along, you're kind of that in-between spot where you can be a friend to all, and no one takes offense. No, everyone knows you're working for the betterment of all people. And in a way that kind of fosters this kind of, like, group mentality, or this kind of, like, focus on kind of, like, harmony between all people, because they know you're an example that you can help different types of groups of people and get them to all see the same kind of, like, not see the same point of view. That's not what I'm trying to say. You can get them to see their own individual characteristics and their own growth path. And kind of by doing that and knowing that everyone can kind of grow and become stronger, it's interesting. Embracing the in-between between these people, you can still be a companion to people. And that's what people are kind of saying about you. Okay, let's see what your Moonology card is. A time to give rather than take. Yeah, people definitely see you as a giver. I'm picking that up very strongly. People, like, see you as someone who bestows things upon them. You know, you don't really ask for much. You're kind of always the type of person who is just giving rather than receiving. New moon in Virgo, you might be kind of a little bit practical. You might have a slight practical side to you. And because it's the new moon, I can see that, like, people say that, like, you know, maybe you are practical, but you don't know it. So they might say that kind of like, did you notice? It might be a little surprising thing to them. Like they'll say like, oh, did you notice how they did this? Like that was such a cool way of doing that. Like, did you notice how they fixed that door? You know, like how they replaced the hinges or did this, or did you see how they like painted that picture? Like, or did you see how they like fixed that car engine? It could be anything really, but they're definitely saying that you are kind of, like you have a slight practical side, but a time to give rather than take just means that like, for the most part, that you're always giving to people. You're always making things happen for people. You're the kind of person that kind of gives people what they need, basically. And you don't ask for much in return. You're never asking for like anything from them. And people see that as so selfless and so sincere. They see that as very sincere and very beautiful. And people definitely respect you for that. So never lose that quality because people really admire that about you. Let's get into your tarot cards. So we have 5 of Pentacles, the Death card, and the Magician reversed. Okay, so I'm definitely seeing this is where some of the negative things come into play. Now, it seems that you can pretty much give other people whatever they want. You're basically this kind of miracle maker, right? But what we see here is they also notice, and people say about you, is that you have a hard time getting what you want. So other people who like judge people's worth on basically how much they can succeed for themselves or how much they can fight for themselves or make their own dreams happen, people see you as lacking in that department. That's where this 5 of Pentacles comes into play. you might actually somehow be able to summon up the money to help other people or pay for other people or do things for other people, but you leave yourself kind of an empty shell, you know, and because of that, you're kind of, how do I put this? People notice that you kind of don't have what other people have, you know, but at the same time, they also notice that you can still make things happen for people, and they're amazed by that. They're like, how can this person who can't make things happen for themselves just do everything for others, you know? And that's where this Death Rebirth card comes in. Again, with the transformations that you're putting people through with this companion in between, is like, you kind of get people to close one chapter of their life and open up another chapter. So it's definitely kind of the type of vibe that, like, you know, if you think about this Death and Rebirth card and the goddess energy, it's very like celestial is the best way to put it. Wow, you're a very, how do I say this, benevolent person, I guess you could say, or that's how people see you. People see you as just kind of this like wish fulfiller. You help people move on from things. People know that. They're like, wow, this person talked to me and they did this and they helped me move on from this deep, difficult situation. We're definitely seeing that with Elephant Spirit, learning from the past. That's something that you do for yourself that you also share with others, right? So you learn from your own mistakes. It gives you this goddess energy, and then you're able to do that and help other people do that for them too. So in a way, you're kind of like a problem solver. You can look at all their history and what they've been through in their past, and you can get them to move on to the next chapter. Death is all about that, ending one chapter and moving into the next. Also, we have this Magician reverse card. This just goes back to this Five of Pentacles, and they both kind of go hand in hand, where people, like, they see you manifesting for others, making miracles happen for other people, but they see that you can't quite get your own house in order, that you can't really kind of get what you need in your life that effectively, right? So yeah, that's definitely something people say about you. But even if they say that, you know, they might say it in passing or something, but really what they really admire you on is this ability to like make things happen for others. So it's definitely, you got an interesting thing going for you. I definitely think if you're concerned about that, making things happen for yourself, learning from the past, this kind of learning from the mistakes of the past and being able to analyze those problems and how you make them happen for other people. It's kind of like you learn from your own mistakes and then you use those lessons to help other people learn from their mistakes, but you're just missing that same step in yourself where you don't apply it to yourself and like make a program for yourself or work on yourself or get yourself to do that for you, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's little self-growth tip so you can help yourself get a little better. What am I trying to say? Anyway, a little like growth tip for you if you would like to take it. Man, people really say great things about you. It's pretty phenomenal. They're pretty amazed by this energy. Goddess energy is definitely very something that I would say is pretty rare in our world. So it's pretty cool that you can do all this for others and, you know, and you're just, I don't know how to explain it. You're just kind of like, you're the miracle bestower is the best way to put it. All right, so if you like this reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick-a cards like this pretty frequently. And with that said, I really enjoyed reading for you guys. Moving on to group 3. Hey, group 3. This is if you picked the rose quartz. I don't know if you guys can see that. All right, so let's get into your reading. This is what people say about you. I don't know, very interesting hand gestures right there. Okay, so first we have Child Eternal and Alchemist. So definitely what I'm seeing here is like the Eternal Child is about a child that keeps renewing their own youth throughout their life. And the Alchemist is someone whose transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. I'm definitely seeing these two together. So in a way, you're kind of someone who can make things happen with just your basic nature. I'm basically seeing you being able to transform yourself the most in this process. So for sure, one of these things with Child Eternal is that because you're so youthful, and because children in general kind of get very curious, they have like a curious nature, a curious sense of the world. You know, they want to do one thing and they pick up another thing and they want to try that. So you definitely have this like eternal child mentality where you kind of have that curiosity that a kid has, like the imagination. Just remember, I mean, it's easy to think about. I mean, if you pick this pile, just remember the pure nature of your childhood and everything that you did and all the things that you were so amazing to you, and being able to see things with fresh eyes. Like, that's definitely what I'm seeing here with this Child Eternal and this Alchemist card, is that you kind of are able to take the base motives of your nature and goals and turn it into this wisdom, which is kind of this child eternal nature. Like, the wisdom and the youthfulness go hand in hand with you. So people definitely see that. I think people will sometimes say that even though you're young, people might say that even though you seem young to them, or they definitely see you as also like very wise. So it might be like one or the other, as far as like with this base motives, it might be like one seems like the superficial one and one seems like the genuine one. So some people whom are just focused on your youthful appearance might be a little envious of you, saying like, oh my gosh, they're so young looking. Like, how do they look that young all the time? Like, you know, I want to look that young, you know, but then but the thing that they see positively, that they're not jealous of, is this kind of wisdom that you have. They're like, but they're so smart, and I really like admire that, and I can get along with them on that because they're so smart. This might be like older people saying this. And then younger people or your peers might like notice that, you know, like your wisdom or your intellectual abilities don't have any effect on them, but they notice your playful attitude. They more notice the spirit of your young nature rather than just the physical appearance of your looks. So you definitely like seem a different way to different people. Let's see what else. Let's pull more cards. Let's see what you got here. So we have a rebirth is assured and Bobcat spirit, life is a mystery. So I'm definitely seeing this. Oh, okay. So I'm definitely seeing that this Child Eternal and this Alchemist, you kind of do this to other people. So the people that kind of still have a little bit of the kid in them, right? You kind of salvage that part of them and you make them kind of see the world through those youthful eyes. That's what this rebirth is assured thing. Definitely the Bat Spirit is like looking at things from a different perspective because he's hanging upside down. So that's kind of what you're doing with these people, is you're kind of showing them like, look at this way to view the world, you know? Literally, you pick the rose quartz, and I'm definitely saying that people, like, what they say about you is that you kind of make them see through rose-colored glasses. They're like, wow, they give me this, like, they help me see the world in this very, like, different way, in a way that's like very lovely and kind of like loving and also kind of like youthful. Like everyone feels curious around you again. It's hard to explain, but definitely life is a mystery. So when you're a kid, life seems like a mystery because you're born, you don't know what's going on, and you just walk onto this planet and things are happening, right? But Bobcat Spirit is about enjoying the mystery as well. You know, life is a mystery, but you're also enjoying it. Like if you think of cats and, you know, the whole phrase, curiosity killed the cat. Well, in this sense, curiosity makes the cat come alive, you know, because life is a mystery. So it's interesting. You definitely see things because of your outlook and your youthful, how you process your internals. And I don't think people know too much about how you do this, but they definitely see you still renewing yourself. So a rebirth is assured applies to you and to others. You put yourself through a transformation process where you kind of become a child again. You know, and that could range from anything from picking up a new hobby to moving to a new city. You know, somehow you reinvent yourself quite frequently. And because of this reinvention, you get this fresh look on the world, this fresh attitude, this fresh energy. And people notice that like whenever they're like looking forward, people are always looking forward like to the next thing you do. They're like, I wonder what the next thing this person's going to do. I wonder what the next thing group 3 is going to do, because it's just going to bring all this freshness and energy and positivity, you know, into the life of those around you, you know? So that's something very, very positive that people say about you. Let's pull some more cards. So we'll have your moon card right here. So we have, you and your loved ones are safe. So I'm definitely seeing with you and your loved ones are safe, that there is this aspect to yourself that you are also very protective. I definitely see this oscillation just because this card came up. I mean, if this card didn't come up, there would not be this oscillation I wouldn't see, but you definitely strike me as someone who is like because you're youthful and you're spreading your youth to those around you, it creates kind of like everyone kind of gets to be a child again. Everyone gets to be a kid again. Everyone gets to go through the transformation and process that you go through. So in a way, you have to kind of be the parent as well, you know, and that kind of creates this dynamic where you get to parent the people around you. In one way, you're awakening their curiosity. And in the other way, you're protecting them from making mistakes. It's definitely interesting because with this alchemist card, golden wisdom, I'm definitely seeing this part of your nature, this wisdom part of your nature is more the parent part, right? So people kind of get to see the world with fresh eyes, but then also get to learn lessons again. You know, they get to learn different things about the world and unique things, and you get to show them those things. And at the same time, you go back and you reawaken their childlike nature. It's kind of this back and forth, like the waves of an ocean. I'm definitely seeing that. And that's interesting. It's a Cancer card, you know, which is a crab, and he lives on the ocean, you know? So yeah, and you and your loved ones are safe just shows that like you have this under control. Like you are able to protect these people that are close to you, or these people where you kind of let them let loose and kind of become a kid again. You're able to also protect them, which is a very beautiful quality. It's good to keep, you know, all the kids safe, you know? Child-proof the house, everyone. Okay, so let's move on to more parts of your reading. Okay, so what we have here, we have one negative thing coming up that people might say about you is that, you know, just in general with this kind of attitude and this kind of, you know, life that you live, people might say you're a little too childish, specifically with like temper tantrums, right? So you might be the type of person that like, how do I put this? People might see you as moody, if that makes you sense, and definitely passionate, but it's also they see your passionate nature as kind of overly passionate, like too much passion. Definitely seeing that with the Page of Wands reversed. It's like that youthful nature that's passionate, but a little too, it's kind of like the negative sides of a passionate nature. Negative because a lot of people see the same exact quality as very, very positive. It's just really depending on who's looking at it. But it's interestingly enough, these same people who say this about you, also notice that you're very persistent and very independent, and they definitely admire that about you. So you have like you have this like frenemy aspect where your enemies or the people who say maybe bad things about you, who say you're kind of like, oh, they just act like a child, and they're passionate, they're excited about life, but they're just not really, you know, advancing the way they should be. You know, they also see that you also have this persistent nature. You have this side of yourself where you are kind of like you really are dedicated to your goals. And that's something that they also see. And that's kind of in a way your saving grace with these people. And, kind of like the thing that like they find the compliment in you. When they look at you and they're looking at the good and the bad, this is what they say about you that's good. Two of Wands just gets reiterated from this Cancer energy. And this popped up in pile 1, I think. And the thing with the Two of Wands in reverse is just someone who's more like a homebody. Like it's about kind of like looking out in the world and being like, I don't want to go out there, you know? So you definitely are someone who probably more sticks to home. You probably have the same friends your whole life, like from childhood up till middle school or high school. Or if you don't, you have like anchors in the world that are like for physical places. Like you might basically go to the same place again and again and again and not really like branch out to something different. So it's interesting, wherever you have your child curiosity, because I mentioned curiosity in this reading, the curiosity, there's areas of your life that are very like safe and secure, right? And that comes from this, you and your loved ones are safe, this Cancer energy, you know, you're protecting them kind of, this card represents kind of being protected from the harsh storms of life, the harsh world outside. Yeah, so that is your reading. If you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick-a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, I really enjoyed reading for you guys. Keep spreading that positivity. I mean, who could not need this like rose quartz energy, this, you know, childlike awakening of themselves, you know? It's beautiful to become that way again because you're letting down all your old boundaries, you know? With that alchemist card with the base motives, it's like you're taking away like these kind of like things in people that are like these negative things, and you're making them kind of become these fresh beings again that kind of have hope. I would say they have hope. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting away myself. This is the conclusion of the reading, not the reading. So I guess I'll see you guys later. Moving on to group 4. 4. Hello, group 4. This is if you picked the Snakeskin Agate. So let's get into your reading. So this is how what people say about you. So first, what we have here is Prince and God. Okay, so pile 2 had Goddess, and that was some very intense energy. You also have very intense energy, because with the Prince and God, let me read you some of these things. So it says, Prince, romantic charm and potential for power. Power is the key word there. And then also in shadow attributes of God, it says despotism and cruelty, using power to control people. So, but I'm looking at God more of the light attributes, benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. But besides that, people see you as powerful. That is the thing that people see you as. The one thing that they can sense as you is this potency of power, is the best way to put it. You're definitely someone who, when you walk into a room, people notice. They know that you're there. Something people say about you is that maybe you are very strong, or you are very, maybe intimidating. And also people say that you kind of have this royalty about you, this royal nature about you, you know, and that you're kind of from another world. You're basically the type of person, because of God, just like in Goddess, God can be a card where it means, in this particular reading, it represents people wanting to worship you or looking up to you. That's definitely something coming through strong. And because of Prince and we didn't get King, I definitely see this as like you have a lot of potential to be a great leader, right? So you also, you're only really missing King in the middle. You have God, King, and Prince, you know, and I see those as kind of like this trifecta of kind of like power stages. So you're kind of in this kind of interesting place where you kind of are like destined to rule on the physical plane, and people see that. That's the thing people see about you, is that they're like, wow, they're destined to be great. They're destined to be this great person, right? They see this potential in you that you know, being a prince, they see you being able to be turned into a king one day. You know, so they definitely see like, wow, they're going to go places. They're going to rule a lot of people, or they're going to like claim a land, or they're going to, you know, and that's like the mythological, or what's that, historical references to this card. But I guess how it would apply in modern day life is they just see you have a lot of potential to like go places in the world. And they definitely sense this power in you. If you didn't think this before, people definitely sense that, you have this power in you, you know, and you might even, just like the Goddess card in pile 2, be able to bestow miracles on people and kind of make things happen for people that are otherworldly, or that they couldn't even fathom or imagine, you know. So let's get into more of your reading, these 2 cards. So we have White Raven Spirit, trust in the magic, and Scarab Beetle Spirit, magic works through you. So with what people say about you, there's no secret. There's no secret that you are a very powerful being. The people that know you, especially your close friends, are going to know that you are this magical person just walking around on Earth, you know? Trust in the magic, and magic works through you just means that like, well, trust in the magic means that like you might not believe in yourself. That's another thing. So even though you are this powerful being and you can really make anything happen, trust in the magic just shows that you might not actually believe fully in your abilities. So there is a sense of self-doubt here, which makes sense because it's kind of like, you know, this kind of like god-ant complex, where at one moment you feel like a god, but then other moments you feel like an ant. I think anyone who has this kind of power and potency with this god card is going to have that kind of dynamic with them, you know, where they kind of have the doubts and the fears, you know, and people see that in you, you know, and it's kind of like they just want to tell you, trust in the magic, trust in yourself, you know, you're this amazing, powerful being, you know, magic works through you. It's almost like these cards in this pile particularly are coming out as things people want to tell you, you know, but that's what there might be some intimidation factor where they don't tell you these things. But even some people might tell you these things, like they might say things to you. People might come up to you all the time and say like, you know, you got to believe in yourself, or you really need to make this happen. Or maybe they try to make things happen for you, right? Because they see with this Prince card that you have all this potential and that you have this kind of royal nature, that you should be places, you should be doing things, you should be in these bigger places. At least that's what people say about you, is that you should be doing that. You know, they want you to trust in yourself. People, you know, it's like, it's because you're this God card, people believe in you. That's the key word here. People believe in you, just like people believe in God. People believe in you and they believe what you can do. You draw a lot of faith from people. That's the best way to put it, right? And they know you're magical, right? They can sense it with you. They sense that potential. They sense that power. They sense that potency. So let's get another card in here. So your dreams need a practical plan. Yeah, okay. So in the modern day world where, you know, people don't always think of these concepts all the time and they're not like living in a magical land themselves. So people who believe in you, they're trying to get your dreams to have a practical plan. So we have full moon in Taurus, which is a very earthy energy. So I'm just sensing that people see you as like lacking that kind of earthy quality. You know, they want to help you with the plans to your dreams. You know, they definitely see that you're someone who dreams big and has these dreams, but they're thinking like, man, you need to think practically, pretty much. You know, so people definitely say that about you, that you need to think more practically to make things happen. You know, they know you're powerful. They know that you have all this magic and like crazy amounts of like stuff in you that you to work with. But some people just say like, you know, they need a practical plan. They need to put their dreams in motion in a more realistic way in order to achieve success. You know, they definitely see, you know, because this Prince energy is coming through so strong with this potential, like for you to be a king. It's like people are trying to prime you to be their leader or their ruler, you know, but then at the same time, they know you have the power of like a god, you know, because you just have that potency. It creates this potential loop where people definitely see so much in you that you might not see in yourself or believe in yourself. And it's a lot of pressure. I mean, this kind of like pressure is so much pressure, and it, you know, it can be overwhelming. Okay, let's get some more cards here. So we have Three of Pentacles, Death and Rebirth, and the Wheel. All right, so here's some things people say about you, some interesting things. So people with the Three of Pentacles card, they definitely, one of the negative things that people say about you, just kind of like right off the bat, is that people might say you don't work well with groups. You might be a type of person who's a little more isolated, a little more, how do I put this? Like you keep to yourself, and that makes sense. You pick the Snakeskin Agate, and Snakeskin Agate is usually chosen by people who want to become invisible to people that they don't want to be seen by. So Snakeskin Agate is used for that. Like if you ever want to like be invisible in a crowd, or you don't want people to notice you, like people will use Snakeskin Agate to like help them like blend in better with people, and so they're not sticking out, you know? So I definitely see that people see you as kind of like on your own, kind of isolated from, yeah, they see you kind of isolated from the group. People in a way feel sorry for you because you can't really connect with people. It's kind of that idea that like, yeah, you are this prince in a castle and all the people around you, yeah, you have all this power and all this greatness, but you know, people, you know, they're concerned that you're alone, you know? They want you to like, you know, join the group or, you know, kind of like work with others. Yeah. So this Death and Rebirth card, this came up in the Goddess card. So this is a very similar energy to pile 2. So I'm definitely seeing this pile as maybe the more masculine version of pile 2. Pile 2 had a very feminine nature to them. Whether they're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. And whether you're a man or a woman and pick this pile, it doesn't matter. You have more of a masculine nature with this pile. But Death and Rebirth just basically means that you help people move on from one chapter of their life to another. So flashbacking to pile 2, right, with the Goddess card. Basically, with this God or Goddess card, you make things happen for people. That's the biggest thing here, is that you basically transform their lives and make them move from one chapter to the next chapter. If you think about who is kind of like right there in like, you know, when people say, who's right there when you die. It's like, you know, the gods, a god or a goddess. It's someone who's going to like take you on to the next life, you know? So that's what this death and rebirth card is pairing up, and why it keeps coming out with the gods and the goddesses card is because you're helping people transition from one part of their life to the next, right? So the wheel just makes me feel like that your life, people see your life as maybe a little unstable. Like they might see like what you do or who you hang out with or where you're going and stuff is like that you're a little, I don't know if it's on edge is the right word, but people definitely see you as a little, this is a good and a bad thing. Some people are going to view this as like you're kind of like a risk taker, and they're going to like that about you. They're going to like that you kind of like take risks. They're going to see it as very adventurous. But other people are going to see it. You might have a lot of people telling you all the time, like, hey, make sure to stay safe, you know, kind of stuff like that, because you're definitely, your life goes up and down. You know, it definitely, people notice that. They definitely see these, you know, this could also deal with like your mood and just kind of like a god, or like in typical mythology, like the Greek gods, you know, they're all very moody, and, you know, they all have their own little attitudes and desires. And, you know, there's all these stories about them, like dealing with each other in different ways. And that's kind of like your emotions are kind of going like up and down, kind of like the wheel. So one moment you're up on the top of the world, the next moment you're down in the dumps. And people definitely see that about you. They definitely see that oscillating nature in your character and how you kind of have this attitude based out of your emotions is the best way to put it. And they definitely see your life as a little bit in flux or in turmoil, you know? So it's interesting. This pile, people definitely, the one thing that comes across to me in this pile is that people see that you have potential, you know, right where we have this prince to God and the king is missing. It's like there's that missing link, and people are trying to get you to see that missing link, you know. And this card came out right in this area where your dreams need a practical plan. People think that that missing link is just some practical plan to get to the next step you want to take. But, you know, there's definitely more to you than meets the eye. And that's the thing. You pick the snakeskin agate. I'm definitely getting strong, like, not secretive vibes, but maybe like you just might keep to yourself a little bit. And you probably keep your cards close to the vest. So there's a little bit more to you than meets the eye. People might not be quite sure what to make of you sometimes. They might mention that to their friends. There's definitely the whole aspect of mystery with you. I guess that's the best way to put it. There's definitely mystery. You don't open up easily to people. All right, well, that was your reading. So if you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this pretty frequently. With that said, we're going to move on to the very last group, group number 5 with the yellow opal. Group number 5. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the last group, group number 5 with the yellow opal. So yes, let's get into your reading. How do people see you? So our first two cards, we have Victim and Liberator. So these two cards go like hand in hand. So first of all, we have Victim, right? Which just represents like the fact that you don't want to be the victim, or this is paired with Liberator, you're liberating victims from their role. So people definitely see you as like the savior. You're definitely the type of person who kind of like gets people out of their mentality, their kind of like victim mindset. You definitely might be the type of person that rescues people like from distress. You might like when someone's hurting or someone's like in pain or someone had pain done to them, you definitely could be the person, and people say this about you, that is like immediately there to save the day, immediately there to liberate them from their, you know, what's it? Tormentor, pursuer, prison worker. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the right word. But anyway, you're there to liberate them, right? It's kind of, you're there to liberate people who are like victims in their own kind of containment, their own kind of, how do I put this? Their own trappings, right? It's people who are kind of like maybe victims to themselves or make themselves the victims, you're actually the best person for those types of people. So this victim card is not so much coming out for you. You may also be prone to this yourself, but it's almost like you either went through this when you were really, really young. Like when you were really, really young, you were more of a victim type of person, but you learned really quickly that you couldn't be this way. You had to get out of it right away, right? So we're definitely seeing with this victim card that like you learned when you were really young that you had to just break out of this victim role. And the one thing you wanted to do, first of all, was liberate other people who were also in this victim role. Anyone who's playing the victim, you kind of liberated them from their oppressors. So maybe you got picked on when you were younger. Maybe you had a tough childhood, but I'm talking like really young, like maybe just like, I don't know what age, maybe like ages 5 to 10 or something. And then after that, you became like a tough cookie, I guess is the best way to put it. You learned really quickly that you couldn't survive as a victim. So you were the first person you liberated. Let's put it that way. I'm definitely seeing that. So people, when they say these things to you of what you are like, they definitely see you as this liberator victim. I don't know if they know it goes that deep. They might not know that, you know, you maybe had a tough childhood or something, but, anyway, they're definitely seeing the fact that like you definitely liberate people from victim mentalities. They might notice that you're attracted to those people too. So they might say that to other people like, oh, this person kind of likes those kind of like weaker types of people because, you know, they have the kind of, people might say you have a savior complex or something like that. But overall, this is more of a positive sign than a negative one. They definitely see you as definitely someone who is a very positive force in people's lives, especially people who are suffering. That's one thing that they notice, that you really do help people who are suffering. So let's get into the rest of your reading or more of your reading. Okay, so interesting. There's an interesting thing going on here where with Dragonfly Spirit being placed right under the victim card and Trust in Divine Detours being placed right under the Liberator card, I'm definitely seeing some aspects to this situation that are very interesting. So with the victim card, Truth Transcends Illusion, I'm seeing that's how you kind of break people out of this mentality. You know, you're the type of person who wants people to see the truth of the situation, and it transcends these kind of like false beliefs that these kind of like victim types have, and even that you have, you know? It seems like people see that you kind of like, it's like you're the underdog, right? You're the underdog and you're showing people the truth, right? This Liberator card, it's like freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. You're definitely someone who is really like, I don't know how to explain this. You're definitely someone who is really making people see the light, I guess is the best way to put it. And you are attracted to people who are outcasts. You're attracted to people who had a hard life, who had a tough situation, and they think they're destined to be on this specific path. These people think that there's no hope left in them. You're definitely this person that kind of like lets people see like reality, I guess you could put it. And basically show them that like, look, this is not happening. This is all in your head. Truth transcends illusion. That's going to get you out of this victim mentality. And Trust in Divine Detours just is like showing me that this goes with your liberator mindset, right? Like you do not take fate at face value. You're not the type of person who's like, well, you know, they're suffering and maybe that's their mindset and they're always going to think like that and that's all there is to it. No, people definitely see that you snap people out of these situations where they are basically like going in one direction and you can throw them in another direction, right? They definitely see that with you too, with this Liberator, Trust in Divine Detours. People definitely see that like, and they kind of trust in you, right? Just like trust in like, you kind of trust in these detours in life, right? And especially with this Liberator card, I'm definitely noticing with this freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, people definitely see you as someone who, when you're kind of like throwing the rules to the curb, or you're throwing the rule book to the curb, or the society standards to the curds in way. Basically, these divine detours are you kind of like throwing a wrench in the bigger plan of things. And that's interesting because in a way, people respect that about you. They definitely see that you kind of like throw people off their game. You throw people off their path, right? Trust and divine detours can be an uncomfortable card. Coyote Spirit can be an uncomfortable card because it just means that you are throwing people off a path that they thought they were on, and you are throwing them a wrench. You're kind of like, how do I put this? It's like you're removing, it's interesting. You're basically setting people on a different path, and then they kind of refine their way to that same path or a different path, but it's like better. So you're kind of that thing that kind of like, you might be like devil's advocate. That's the best way I can put it. You might be the type of person who's like devil's advocate. Like if someone says, oh, this and this is going to work, you might be the type of person that says, you know, I don't think that's going to work. I mean, that just seems like that's outdated, or that's not the right way to do it, or whatever the reason is. You're definitely liberating people from these kind of like false beliefs they build up in themselves. Wow, pile 5, too many readings in a row. I can't talk. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I definitely am like struggling talking right now. But we're going to get through it. We're going to get through this reading. Okay, so look at the bigger picture. So this is going back to just what I just said, like looking at the bigger picture, right? Like you are definitely someone who has the bigger picture in mind, and people think that about you. Whether you do have the bigger picture in mind or not, people definitely see you as very wise, smart. They see you as seeing the whole picture, because these divine detours, people think, you know, I don't know if you do this or not on purpose, or you're just doing this to be, you know, because Coyote Spirit can be a trickster. So you might just make people go through these divine detours as kind of like a trickster mentality. Like, you know what? I'm just going to be contrary to be contrary. Some people might see that in you, but I would say most people definitely see that you have a bigger picture in mind. So it's interesting. There's not quite the aspect of like the mischievous side of a coyote that people see. Maybe some people, but people definitely notice that you have this bigger picture in mind. You're definitely the type of person who knows kind of like what's going to happen, or you seem like you know what's going to happen. Because when you liberate people from these divine detours, you're actually putting them on a better path, which is what we saw over here with this victim card. You're removing them from that victim mentality and sending them on a better path. People, when this truth transcends illusion, you help them out of this by just giving them the truth. Basically, people just assume and say about you that you have a big view of the world, a big picture in mind of everything that's going on, and you really understand what's going on in the world and with people and stuff like that. All right, let's get to your tarot cards. So we have 10 of Pentacles, 2 of Pentacles reversed, and Queen of Swords. Okay, so I'm definitely saying this with the Queen of Swords, like, you might be the type of person who you want a little respect for what you do. You know, you want to kind of like, you want people to kind of like know that you're the boss, if that makes sense. You want people to know that you're the one that's kind of like doing them a favor or showing them the way or showing them the path. We also see here with the 10 of Pentacles that you're very much focused on family. You're a very family-oriented person, you know, and you're definitely focused on building a financial future for your family. So people who are like closer or in your family definitely see you as someone who can provide for them. You're definitely the type of person who makes sure everyone's okay or makes sure everyone's doing well, whether that's on a spiritual or a physical level. But I'm definitely seeing it mostly on a physical level. You're definitely someone who's providing for people in your family. You're focused on your lineage, your heritage, your ancestors. You might be a very spiritual person who's focused on where they come from, their blood ties, what their heritage is. People definitely notice that about you. 2 of Pentacles reverse just shows that people notice that you drop the ball a lot in your life. So 2 of Pentacles is a card where there's a guy and he's like juggling different pentacles, right? And basically he's like handling everything in his life really well, but like, you know, the balls don't drop. So I'm definitely seeing with the 2 of Pentacles reversed that, you know, you're kind of like dropping the ball. Now, the thing is, I think you, in a weird way, I'm like getting the feeling that you do this on purpose. Like, just like you drop your victim mentality and you liberate people from unnecessary things, you're kind of this person that's like, you take what's not working and you just tear it down and build something new. You know, if like someone has a mindset that's not working, you tear it down. If someone has like a product that's not working, you take it out and you rebuild it. So people might see you and might say that you are, you know, not the most responsible person, or you don't take your responsibilities into consideration. But I definitely think if they knew you and like your ultimate aims and goals, they would see that that's not true, you know? So, and it's interesting, it's right under the big, look at the bigger picture, and I'm definitely seeing these two as contradictory. So some people are gonna see that you just can't handle your life and you're dropping responsibilities and, oh my gosh, look at them, they're a wreck, right? But other people, it's like this deep respect for you because you see this bigger picture. And people, oh my gosh, like I'm just getting very strong vibes of like, people are just like, oh my gosh, they can see everything. Like people might think you're psychic. People might think you're like very intuitive, or like you just know things before they happen. But really what it is you're just kind of creating the paths, better paths for people to put them on different things in their life. You're liberating them from these victim mentalities, right? So that was the last reading for today. If you like the reading, you can like or comment below. If you really like the reading, you can subscribe to my channel. I post pick a cards like this pretty frequently. And with that said, I really enjoyed reading for you guys. You're a very interesting person, especially with Dragonfly Spirit and Coyote Spirit, that trickster mentality. It's definitely kind of like, you're very clever, I guess is the best way to put it. Anyway, so yeah, that was the last reading for today. So I guess I will see you guys later. Goodbye, mañana, have a good one. Mañana? That's not right. Goodbye. I'll see you guys later. Bye.